complete understanding gives you an advantage. And so if you can like develop that knowledge of how a new field is going to unfold before it even gets to that point, then like, wow, you've really got an advantage. And so like if you can see how these things will come to be, then like, I mean, you can make a lot of money, or you can make someone a lot of money, or and so you can profit from the. You can also there are also models of systems that are like completely inaccurate, and you can profit from like disparity of knowledge, but you really don't want to be evil with that. I mean, there's like, and you can get in like a huge trouble with because it's unethical behavior. Like if you're like putting statements out that like mislead people into like making certain investments, then like, and then they lose a lot of money. Like usually the person that gains money out of that is already super rich, and the people that lose their money by like stock price manipulation are like they don't have a lot of money, and like they weren't too keen on the information, they didn't have that connection, and um, and you also have to know that like for any system, the knowledge of that system is constantly evolving and constantly propagating, so that you have to know that like competitive advantage in that case doesn't last forever if you depend on some better understanding of how a market or product or industry works. You know, uh, Other people might find a better solution, or they'll find a better model to the system than your model, and at that point your opportunity begins to fade. And so unless you have like IP that protects you, then your advantage there might only last until a more accurate model of that system becomes a commonly accepted one. Social media and SEO are good examples there. Like some techniques work until they're commonly known, and then Google Google like figures it out. Google and Bing they like figure it out, and they're like, okay, we're gonna crack down on that, and then that technique doesn't work. Or there's a lot of ways that social media and SEO techniques can change. And why did I never? I've got like 100 articles like this that I've never published. They're not this good, but I mean this one's good just because it's like I don't know. It's a lot of like advice like that's mostly disparate knowledge that like most people don't even like really ever learn. And there's also factors which are kind of perceived as being like driving forces and strong indicators, which aren't really that useful. And this goes back to like people's like basic understanding of like micro and macroeconomics. And see, I never even took like micro or macroeconomics, but I can tell you how the economy works. Like people want shit. They want to buy stuff. Like you got something, they want to buy it. They'll pay money for it. Some people pay more money. Some people pay less money. There's supply and demand, and that's pretty much how it works. And like all you need to know, like, so you know that people want things. People have money. They want to give you money. You might want to give them money for the things they have, and then like now you got to figure out like which people like want which things, and like how badly do they want them, and like where do those things come from, and like what resources does a particular region have, what is produced in a specific city, and so I mean it's like the 10,000-foot view of economics, and then sometimes there's like inevitable forces at play that are just like that shit's gonna happen. Like you can't stop it. Like Uber is a good example of that. Like a lot of people, this is really gonna piss some people off. Uber, you know, they make a lot of money, and so do their drivers, and that's why drivers pick Uber. I don't even know if I want to say this actually. I'm just gonna sit on it. If you're smart, you'll figure it out. And so you kind of gain. You kind of profit from the, let's see, I think I already went over that. I was really trying to just like spend like 5 minutes. I didn't realize I wrote like 10,000 words. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, there's like factors that aren't really good indicators of demand or indicators of like future change in price. But like a general example, like Factor A is a good indicator of demand for product X from industry Y, and that's commonly accepted knowledge from stock brokers. And like they'll like look at those prices and indicators of demand and like use those to trade, or algorithms do it. Usually algorithms do it at this point. And in which case it's actually an indication of a lower demand for product. Let's see. And so maybe that model like works most of the time, but then like it's actually like the complete opposite under slightly different conditions. And in that case, like if you're familiar with those conditions, then you can like predict the change in price. And you also have to know like how other people are going to expect the price to change or the demand to change. And so you have to know how to like sell your stock when the price rises from the aggregate effect of purchases and so you gotta kind of like know like when do I actually sell or when and Bender from Futurama is going to be like trading all our stock in the year 3000. So and so all of this like factor model stuff is generic and but I mean it's like pretty much common sense. And here's another thing. I mean, you just gotta like understand like what people believe. You gotta like be able to, you gotta like have the communication skills to like establish rapport from them, or you have to be able to establish a rapport with them in some way. Maybe it's through your organization or through interpersonal means. And then you have to like have the intuition to like infer their belief structure. And then you have to like be able to like compare that belief structure to other people's belief structures. And then you have to be able to like generalize people's belief structures. And then you can compare and contrast those belief structures and like understand like, okay, like these people believe this set of things because they know X, Y, and Z, whereas these people like know all of those things, but like so much more. So these people are gonna like eventually reach these conclusions that these people will never reach. And I spelled that wrong. And so you got to understand how that affects actions and results. And it's all about like economics is really it's all about beliefs. Like there's some like hard numbers to like resource availability and stuff like that. And I'm not really that good at economics. Like I mean, like I said, I haven't taken the class, but I'm just like I can read information and make like accurate. I can read like articles and like stats and stuff and draw accurate conclusions about them. And so these are like crucial. Being able to like determine someone's belief structure, which is something people don't really think about, but it's like crucial to like identifying opportunity and mitigating risk, which is another huge thing. And so some people will get like so set in their ways, like they'll like look at the effect that certain like factors and models and blah 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 have on like price or demand or whatever, and they just they do that for like 20 years and it does them really good, and then like the next decade after that, they think that is still what drives the economy or what drives like their field or whatever, but they're just like they have so much life experience like set in one way that they just believe everything is that way, and so now it's like say this is all so generic that it's kind of pointless. I mean, you get what I'm saying. I'm just trying to like they straight up baller blocking. Yeah, I'm just like kind of like frustrated with being ignored. Like I don't understand. Like I mean, Splice is a good example. Like, and I say that all the time. And I've met like Matt Imonetti and Splice.com. Like I had the business model for that, and like no one would like listen. They were like, yeah, David, whatever. That was a long time ago. I'm just saying. And I've got like a bunch of really good ideas right now. I don't have very many good ideas that require like a very small amount of money. And it's really only an opportunity until someone dominates the market, which Splice has clearly dominated the market. They have a couple like features that they could add and it'll be okay. But and then you got like kind of like you got like the barrier to entry for technical startups is like going to just keep on rising. It's just going to keep going up, and so I would say that it's really, it's crucial to kind of like diversify your portfolio when there seems to be a lot of like turbulence in the market. Blah 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 blah. Many businesses at this point pursue other strategies. Oh yeah, this is a good one. Like big corporations, like they have a product and they are making money on that product, and like there might be a much better way to develop a new product, and they don't give a shit because they know that the profit margins will be like 10 times or 10% of like what their profit margins are at that point, or that it will totally like disrupt their business model or like disrupt their relationship between their like customers, or like there's some like abstract reason why they don't really want to like deal with like innovation, and it just like it really kind of destroys a lot of really large organizations. But yeah, blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, yeah. And if you want to like make that argument to a board of directors that they should like invest in some risky new technology that might slash through profit margins in like 5 years, like why would they do that when they got a good thing going on and they're like counting money and like just like wait until their like stock matures? And so convincing a public company to do that is even harder. Like when the public shareholders like have a considerable influence over the direction of a company, like they're basically like, you're gonna do what to my dividends? Like, nah. You wanna like slash my dividends like in half? Like, I don't think so. I don't know how many companies actually do dividends. I don't own any stock. And so yeah, like truthfully, like in the situation above, yeah, like companies tend to stagnate because of conflict of interest, and so that signals more opportunity. But if you know like so if you know like how a company is not going to evolve or not going to want to evolve, then you can kind of like predict that like yeah, that company has like 90 or 95% of market share, but they don't seem to want to like Microsoft has like 95% of the desktop market, but they, like why aren't they doing mobile? Like they don't get it. Like or like Apple in like 2004, like they started producing, they started getting ready. They were starting to gear up for like the iPhone. I mean, like they were doing a lot of like R&D in the back end, but they had to do so much like research on that end that they had to go to Google to like develop an agreement for Google to do the search, and then it became like if Apple had like the search like straight out the gate, then like they just would have like owned the mobile internet. And so like as like a large entity, you got to know like, okay, these new technologies are coming down the pipeline, and like they're less profitable, but that's just how it goes. Like things get easier, things get cheaper. Like medicine, like right now, cost is astronomically high. Like I can't even like, it's like astronomically high. It should not be that, the price should not be that high. But like with computational medicine and stuff like that, the price is going to come way down, and we're going to see like medicine become affordable, and that's good because like nobody's going to be dying because they can't afford cancer treatment anymore. So hopefully that will be a thing of the past, and hopefully we'll just like learn enough, like we'll like be able to solve enough of these problems that like the remaining problems become easier, and we just like medicine becomes like could like the price of medicine just like on average could like drop like, it's like throwing numbers out, but it could drop like 50% over the next 10 years, and maybe like over the next 30 years it could drop like 80 or 90%, just because like there's easier ways to do things, and like we'll know enough to like focus on prevention, and that's actually like I'm hoping that'll be a lot of, again, like there's like the people who are participants in a system have a particular perspective of that system, and they think it works a certain way, because that's all they can see. They can't like, so they can see like up into the system, but then there's like maybe it feels like that's it. There's just kind of this like nebulous kind of expanse that they don't really see, and there's like all this stuff like up here that they don't really get. And anyways, the key to this is that knowing which way the wind blows means knowing which market forces are going to be dominant and which are going to fall away. And it's similar to complexity theory. And some aspects of an algorithm might seem important and expensive at first glance, and actually don't know very much about complexity theory. But in the end, when you apply the algorithm at scale, those aspects just don't matter, and it all falls away to like one thing or two things. And that's just how that's how business processes are. Like usually, you got like all these complicated business processes, but like when you want to determine like how much money you're going to make, it falls down to like a dozen different things. Um, and that's like an oversimplification, but that's how it is. And this is why I don't understand why I'm unemployed. Like, can somebody help me out with that one? I'm not gonna like complain about that though, because I think this. Anyway, so understanding what like market forces are dominant means sorting through like a sea of data, in the 21st century, and so and also people have like a vested interest. So like going back to the belief structures, people have a vested interest in getting you to believe that something is true, because then they can affect your actions. So if they can get you to accept this thing as being true when it's not, or when it's like partially true but you believe it's because something is true or whatever, then like you're gonna act in a certain way, and like maybe it's not true, like, or maybe there's like maybe there's like something to look like closer into there. Like if you're gonna be looking at like how self-driving cars are gonna affect the price of gas, or how self-driving cars are gonna affect like our lives. What would be great for self-driving cars for me is that like I could just like it would be great. Like there would almost be like a startup just for people who have a self-driving car, and they're like they just want to like lease their self-driving car out as like a Uber. Like it would be like a startup for like driverless cars, and it's just like people that like all right, I made it to work. Like I guess I'm gonna like send my self-driving car out, and it's gonna make some money for me. And like you're just it's just it totally changes things. And so there you go. If you want to like run that one, I'm not too passionate about self-driving cars. So and there's a lot of like security issues there too, which are like really bad. And so this brings us to vision. Your expert level understanding of your market or whatever, it drives the development of your vision. Great people always have a vision, which is driven by how much they believe, which is driven by how they believe things are, where they're currently going, and it's encompassed by where they believe things are. See, they see where they are going now, and then they see where things are like eventually going to arrive in the future, I guess, and usually they have like some kind of like poignant vision where they think like it's like the Apple commercial where like the girl like from the Super Bowl where the girl like slings the the hammer at like Big Brother and like smashes what seems like this gigantic image of this like you know this like powerful image, like Orwellian image from like 1984, and so it was like Steve Jobs and Apple, like they thought like, okay, like here's the, and it's just like genius how they like positioned their like positioned and postured their commercial, their Super Bowl commercial, which for like many of Americans, it was like the first time they were going to see an Apple product, and it was like the first chance, like your first impression is like your that's your best shot to make an impression, especially for the ladies. But anyway, back to the commercial. So basically, it was Apple's like chance to make a good or to establish their very first mass market impression, and to really like solidify, or not to solidify, but to like magnify and like congeal the public opinion of like what the Apple brand like meant at that point, because up to then it wasn't really like, and I don't know where Apple was in their development. Maybe they had released their products, but that was huge for them, and the reason, and it's genius because like they knew it was their first shot to do that. It's gonna be like a huge moment of exposure for them, and they wanted to like sell it to people as like, here is our perception of like where we think that like computers will go, and it's gonna be this like dark, terrible, cold future, and but we're offering something different. This is where like things are truly going to go. So I mean, it's like just genius in that regard, I guess. And so usually vision like it's not so important when it falls in line with some like commonly accepted paradigm. So like I mean, how are you going to sell somebody on common sense? And if somebody's going to be passionate about it, then it needs to be different. And so it should be like marketed and pitched in such a way, because if it truly diverges from the commonly accepted paradigm, then it's really going to be a tough sell. And this doesn't mean that every great person's vision needs to be quasi religious in nature. But the Kool-Aid really needs to taste different than what everyone else is serving. And just like a side note, I'm a dudist. Like I follow the dude from The Big Lebowski. Kind of feel bad for the guy. Like I guess he started his own religion or something. I mean, that's tough. I'm pretty sure I specifically said like I have specifically said in the past like I don't want to start a religion. That sounds like high pressure, intense, like holy shit. Why would you have like I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why I feel like the need to like emphasize that, but that's just like where that is. Although I think with technology developing as it is, like there's probably like probably a need for something similar to a new religion or something, because like religion has a lot to offer. Blah blah blah. I don't really want to get into that right now. And the world has changed so much, basically, like globalization and modernization, and like the postmodern world, and like post-structuralism and like postmodernism are just kind of like depressing, because like everything is developed, so like where it's so like it's the apex of like human civilization, and like there's really nothing beyond this precipice. Like we have like seen everything that like our generation has been exposed to all the cat videos, and so like and to all the breakdancing videos, and like we're like desensitized to like what is amazing, and you don't even like recognize like when someone right next to you is like they may not be like super proficient, but they at whatever talent they have, but like they're really good at what they do. Maybe they're like in the top 20% of their field, but like that's kind of like a big accomplishment for most people. Like and so like the internet like desensitizes us to like we like lose our ability to like be awestruck, and we like don't realize when something is amazing, because you just like scroll through your Facebook feed and just like see like the most popular things that day. Anyway, so like and I think that'll change also, because people will like be more inclined to develop subcultures, and like virtual reality will change things, and augmented reality will change things, and things will go back to like technology will become more human. And I've said that a lot in the past, but technology is going to be VR, and especially AR is going to make technology more human, and so your vision will kind of inspire you to conceive and reinforce your strategy, and it'll like provide you with a means to like motivate your employees and all this stuff, and it should be like fueled by passion, and it should fuel your passion. It should fuel the passion of your employees. And so it should be easily communicated so other people can like understand those values and those beliefs. It's kind of where I'm getting to like where I haven't finished this stuff, but and your vision, if it's built on the right set of knowledge, could accurately illuminate a path forward for your organization. And this might be especially important when it seems like you've launched a startup and you're like 6 months, 12 months into it, and you just don't know what to do, or like maybe you thought like one partnership was really going to work out, or like one market segment was really going to be like the segment that like offered you the most opportunity for monetization or something, and like you just like didn't land that, or didn't actually work out the way that you thought it was, and you already got all this like funding, and like people are asking a lot of questions about like what you're doing with the money, and like so you gotta like figure out like you gotta like the vision is important because it reflects on your passion, and you have to develop like vision just in general is like very important to like develop, just because like it's really gotta like it's important for like painters, it's important for like anyone doing any kind of like craft or like any kind of art. You gotta like be able to like envision like where you want to go, and if you can like visualize it, with your like third eye, or maybe just draw it out, like you're like so much closer to getting there, because like as you're envisioning something, you're like using a ton of your brain. You're like using like your subconscious, and you're like tapping into like your brain's like GPU. Like the subconscious mind is really like the brain's kind of like GPU, and so you're kind of like tapping into that, and kind of like maybe you're like literally envisioning something, or maybe like you're constructing this like major strategy with lots of like subtle tactics and stuff, and so people love a good story. This is like one of the most important things. Like as you are like building your thing, you got to be thinking about like, how am I going to tell this story in the past or in the future? Like how am I going to be like, what am I going to say? Like how did I meet this person? This is one of the most important things that you can do, is like every time you meet someone, just like know like, okay, you got to learn their name, their face, but you got to like know like what was the situation that we were in, what conversation did we have, what made them laugh, what did they say that made me laugh, like, and it's like so important, like especially in like a relationship or like a friendship or whatever, and sometimes that story drives your vision and helps other people understand the why behind your vision, and and so yeah, you can kind of like develop your story. I mean, you don't want to like just outright lie, but you kind of want to be like thinking about like, how am I going to tell this story, and like what is important to like emphasize. Like the smallest details, like they might seem insignificant, but then like, you just really got to be thinking about the story that you want to tell. And that's what's so confusing for me. Like I don't know what like I've been working on these startups for like ever, and I don't really have a good story. You know what I mean? Like I don't have any control of like I don't know what story I'm going to tell, because I can't like I haven't built a product, so how am I going to like talk with other people, to develop like a story about like what is like, that's what's like so frustrating, like and like it would be different if I had like a co-founder or something to just kind of like develop with or whatever. And these are things that just really can't be. Your story is yours. Like your competitor really, they might be able to develop a better story, but they can't. Your story really can't be changed, and it just can't be replicated. And so that kind of like helps you cultivate like a unique connection between you and your most loyal customers. And the Steve Jobs story. I mean, like everybody loves the Steve Jobs story because it's good. Like I mean, he's a humble guy. Maybe he didn't end up that way. But I mean, like at Reed University, it seemed like he was, I think that's the university. Anyway, it seemed like he was like, pretty humble, pretty spiritual. And it's like I've heard that at some points, like he thought that Apple might not be the thing that he wanted to do, and like the third founder of Apple, like kind of wanted to like kind of help talk Steve Jobs into like staying in it. I don't know, but so yeah, like I said earlier, you want to like notate your first experiences with someone, and kind of want to like, because like when you do that, like now you have something between you that no one else does. You've got like that memory of like that experience, with other people, which is something hard to develop when you're isolated. But then you need to have like a vivid awareness of your present moment as well. So you can't just like. So one of the things that's been so hard for me to like just let go. Like I mean, honestly, like I don't understand anything right now, and like I don't understand why I'm in the position that I'm in. Like I feel like I've worked really hard. Like I will. It's not for lack of like wanting to sacrifice, or it's not for lack of like wanting to like do the work. It's but my point is like like I just need to forget the past, like I really do, and forget about what I want to do in the future and just focus on the present. And it's just like so hard to do. And it's not like I don't want to like focus on this stuff because I'm greedy. I want to focus on this stuff because I've wanted to change the world, and so like I mean if that's what I want to do, why can't anyone help me with it? Like why can't anyone like it just seems like no one can really I don't know. It feels like I'm not able to like become connected with anyone. And if you don't really keep that in mind, then it's easy to get distracted by life and what you think was important in the past and important in the future, and you don't focus on the present moment. And I'm like the worst example of this, especially now. Like I'm so attached to like what happens to me in like I don't know in different places and like and then over the past over the past decade. But anyway. And sometimes like the most like beautiful thing that you can do is just like forget. You just like forget everything. And so and to develop that true sense of discerning novelty and what's new. Hey, what's up? How are you doing? Good. Cool. And so then you gotta like develop like a sense of like what's new and what's what's not new and what's unknown and like what you haven't explored. And this is kind of like a Zen thing, I think. You kind of you got to be like acutely aware of the present phenomena and the inner workings of your own mind, and to like discern what is. Here's the Zen thing: to discern what is new, you have to think about what's in the past. But I just said like focus on what is in the present moment. But if you only focus on what is in the present moment, then you can't discern what is like new about the present moment. So you kind of gotta like I don't know. There's no good answer to that, I guess, but. And then you have to understand how your own mind functions in an accurate and honest way. And if you ever hope to like change it in any meaningful way, then you've got to really got to like know your mind and know yourself. And it's counterintuitive to think that in order to change how you look for novelty in everyday things, and requires which requires discovering something new, then one needs to become familiar with their own cognitive workings, which is what occludes this stuff in the first place. So you get a couple like Zen, I don't know, they're almost like oxymorons, but it doesn't sound like the right thing to say. And so to cultivate a sense of discerning true novelty and unknown opportunity, kind of become like you need to become acutely aware of the present and your cognitive patterns, and but the skill of looking for the commonly overlooked is a great contributing attribute in building a new product, or creating a great story to tell, and how focusing on how you want to tell a story of your life 2 to 5 years from now, that helps you focus harder on making the moment at hand more special. What did I do that pushed me forward, and how did I assess my life situation to make sure that I got the most out of it. And when there were setbacks, what did I do? And that's why like my story just like isn't great. It's just like what did I do? I had setbacks and I just kind of like got depressed, and why did I do the things that I did, and like is the why something that I can tell other people, or like is it you kind of like face like lots of hardships in your life, but like a great way to think about this is to like think about how you would overcome them if you were the hero of your story. And this idea that we're all telling our own story can have some downsides, it can definitely motivate us to turn hardship into a reason to excel, but you don't want to just like create contrived circumstances, and you don't want to be the villain either. So that's like, that's one of those things that can be just taken completely wrong. But living your life and just appreciating that later on, you'll know that you have a better story because you focused on getting the most out of life while you could, and that in itself will help drive more positive behavior, I think, and you'll create more memorable experiences, and you'll be able to craft your story in a way that like allows you to relate your experiences to others in a more meaningful way. But my point is that great people seem to excel at this skill too, and they excel at relating, what pushed them harder and why their vision matters so much to them. And like I said, my story is just like, I mean, it could be all right, but it just seems like I can't find anyone that will work with me, and that's because I faced a lot of problems which like weren't even really that big of a deal, but just kind of like demoralized me, and it's just like it's kind of like a if you're gonna be like somebody like Steve Jobs or something, like if you had setbacks, you gotta like overcome them in a way that's like people want to tell that story. Um, you can't just be like like the rich kid or whatever that like they went to college and then like their parents gave them like $10 million or something to like launch their own business, or they like just they were lucky. Like nobody great ever wants to think that they were lucky, even though that's a huge part of it. Like you got to like take the opportunities that were handed to you, and so your vision becomes like part of your identity, and your vision becomes part of your image. And I was gonna kind of go into like image and stuff like that, and there's a strategy. So they understand all those kinds of things, and they see where they want to go, and they have the passion and energy to push to get it there. But when confronted with obstacles, they identify an alternate path. Maybe they have they'll have something get in their way, and they'll figure out like a different way to make it work. And that's something that like is just like incredibly important. Like when you feel like you're limited by your options, like that you only have certain choices, you just gotta realize that like there's another choice, there's another way to make it happen, and don't give up, but at the same time don't like just totally like waste your life like chasing something that's like not worth the cost. Because like honestly, like I've thought so much about like becoming like great or whatever, or like just like launching a product for the sake of like really for the sake of like doing it because it seems like it would be an awesome thing to do and I feel like I'm capable of doing it, but also to like achieve the position where I'm able to like invoke the kinds of changes in the world that I want to see. And I feel like unfortunately like you've got to have money to do that. You've got to have money to like change things for the better. And so like I've always had such a strong passion and such a strong drive for that I've always just really wanted to like I've like set it up like like once I like get one or two products done, I'll have like a dozen $1 million or something. I don't know, it probably never happened. I'm just saying like in general, if I want to get to the next step of having more money to affect more things and to do things like invest in businesses that like cure diseases or like reduce costs of treatments or reduce like costs of like clean water or then I need to get into a position where I have the funds to do that, and to get into the position where I can do that. And that's why it's been so frustrating to like suffer these setbacks. And so, and another issue with me is I have a terrible reputation and image. It's just like hard to really change that. So like, be really wary of like how your actions change the way that people think of you. Be wary about of the way that people talk about you, or some people might like propagate like false messages, or usually if someone has something good to say, or if someone has something true to say, then everyone will talk about it. And if it's not true, then you won't be able to talk to that person about it. And and so they know what they want, and they don't waste their energy chasing things that they don't want. That's one of the most important rules in life. Keep your eye on the ball, and people will try to distract you because they want to like redirect your energy towards their own purposes. They want you to they want to like redirect your money towards becoming their customer, or they want to redirect your energy towards like building their vision in life, or and so you got to like keep your eye on the ball, and stay focused on the one thing that you want. Um, and so one thing that's I've thought a lot about being an angel investor and stuff, just because I think it would be interesting. Um, and you need and there's a lot of people out there. You just probably wouldn't be like a good angel investor. Like if you have a lot of money, like you got to be careful with that, because like people will like take it, and if you don't have enough time to like actually put in if you don't have enough time to really like put in the work to if you don't have enough time to put in the work to maintain communication with these companies, then you don't really have any business like being an angel investor. Unless, I mean, you can like farm that work out to like someone else. I mean, you could like just kind of like set up like a team of people to like communicate, and make sure like stay in touch with your investments. And I mean, you definitely need that also, which is another thing. You don't just need like the chips to play the game. You also got to have like the chips to make sure that you're playing smart. Like you gotta have the money to invest, and then the money to like maintain your investments. And so no one does anything truly great by accident. And there are some people, but whereby some accident of fate or life circumstance, that person may like equip them with like the insight required to understand the importance of those attributes, and those like facets of greatness. And oh dear God. So yeah. But no one really does anything truly great by accident. I mean, you just like it's something like you have to like focus 100% of your energy towards, or maybe 95% of your energy, but really you just want to like focus on it. Like, and the people who become great, they're like, I wouldn't say that like singularly focused, but like they have like an idea of like where they want to go and like how they're going to get there, and they're dedicated to that, and they've decided the thing that they want to do, and they're going to do it. And I've spent a lot of time talking like just now about like what it means to be great and like how to get there and blah blah blah. But I've spent so much of my life doing that, and then or like in trying to like hopelessly invest the energy into getting there, when like it's not really what I want. Like I want to get there to be able to make changes in the world. I don't want to get there to get the money or whatever. And so in trying to get to that point to where I can change things, I've like given up my own opportunity for ever becoming happy. And so and really like if you're going back to like being great, I don't know. My brother's like live the simpler life, and he's like he has a family with 3 kids, and that's he's focused like harder than I have, chasing my dreams. He's focused all of that energy into building a family, and that's great in itself. And so really like chasing these kinds of dreams, like a lot of times people end up unhappy, and I'm kind of one of them. But I have like a high tolerance for emotional pain, or I don't know, but and really like you gotta like be kind of singularly focused, and that's why you gotta like guard your will to fight, because like your most dangerous enemies are gonna go for that will to fight first. That's the thing that they're gonna do. They're gonna like stir up negativity and all this stuff. And they're the kinds of people that you need to look out for, because they won't directly attack you. They'll just kind of like you just like you'll find yourself enthralled with negativity and like just like all these like little subtle things that like either distract you or like detract from your energy or your ability to focus that energy, or it kind of like dulls the I don't know, kind of dulls your sword, I guess. Uh, and they'll kind of like drain your spirit and redirect your energy, and they'll leave you exhausted. And that's just true, like just in life in general. Like, I'm not saying like, obviously I'm not saying to be mean to someone or whatever, but like, if somebody's not like, if somebody's not treating you right, like, why should you be investing your time and energy in them? Like, that's not right. And I feel horrible about everything. I mean, I have like a terrible relationship with my mom because I've been like so singularly focused on doing a startup that like I can't even like take time to look at anything else. And I made $1,700 last year, and I got a $1,337 tax refund, and still owe money on taxes. I just didn't make any money. Didn't really seem like I can get a job. And so there's a legal system, of course, and so this is kind of where I tapered off. So I'm finally done with this like 10,000 word article. And so the legal system, I mean, you got to just kind of like there's people out there and they just like know what they're doing. And they understand how to navigate the system. A big part of this is intellectual property. And if you know this stuff, like it's a major advantage. It's not quite like a quality. It's not really like a facet of greatness, but I mean, it's huge. Being able to navigate that system and navigate the legal system just like gives you such an advantage. So anyway, that's like a couple other comments here. Yeah, many of these are just like mistakes that I've observed and I learned things that I learned too late. And I feel like I've already made so many mistakes, and I don't really, I mean, I'm like, feel like siloed off and like just basically like, isolated really, and like, I don't really understand why, and and I believe that others can draw on your mistakes, and so if you have a lot of problems or whatever and they're embarrassing or something, if the experience of those problems are shared, then it could really truly help others to avoid those mistakes if they're shared in the right way. But if you don't have any means of influencing that, then everybody has to be. So yeah, and are these lessons like a curse or a blessing? Like I said, you got to like focus on the present and move forward. And the ambition required to pursue a path like this really fosters an attachment in me myself, anyways, that shouldn't otherwise exist. And if I didn't desire success and greatness out of a belief that like I that I would be properly postured to like change the world and that I could truly benefit other people, then I wouldn't really want it at all. And it's so messed up. It's really fucked up. Like I've like destroyed myself, and like, and I don't even like. Nobody can like. Nobody's allowed to help me. That's what it seems like it is. Anyway, so vulnerability, especially when visible, is that really a weakness? I mean, if you like, I mean, you don't want to just like go around showing everybody your vulnerabilities, but the perception of a person who is clearly vulnerable by the masses. A lot of people would judge that person for being vulnerable or sharing their vulnerability, or they would use that vulnerability against them. But it's important to learn from those people so we can grow from their experiences, and so it doesn't really distort, reality. Or doesn't. I don't know, we just kind of want to be able to grow from other people's experiences, because if we hide our experiences, then like, you know, how does somebody ever know how to like react when they're like they have some kind of horrible thing happen and they're like diagnosed with HIV or something, or they're diagnosed with some other like STD or something where like you don't feel like you can talk to anybody about it, and like how do you like what do you do there? I mean, and there's like tons of things like that where people like they'll get burned real bad and then they can't talk to anyone about it. So anyway, this is my spiel. I hope you guys got something from that, because it certainly I don't know what's gonna happen to like yeah, everything that I've ever done. Hopefully I'm gonna like have some time to like. There's a lot of like typos and everything in here, but hopefully I'll be able to like patch everything up, and I don't know what the hell is going on right now. I'm like trying to like work on this like graphics project, and like it's just like I've been like doing the same things over and over again. And they're not like hard problems, but like I just really need for someone to like I just need to ask somebody about like the design and stuff of like I really hate negativity for the sake of negativity. So I hope you guys got something out of this, because I just don't like. Usually, like situations can be ameliorated, like if like both parties like. Oh, what was that? Blog real quick and. Yeah, just like wish I could like ever talk to someone. So So bizarre. Okay. How did I not check this out like 4 times? And I guess I had some other things to share.